Yeah, probably around there. Mm-hmm. Thanks. Okay. I'm, like Bob said, Alec Harrison. My wife and I are expecting our first kid at the end of August, so this is probably one of the last groups I'll be at for at least a few months. So wanted to go out with a bang, and why not present? Yeah, I hear it's pretty life-changing. We'll roll with the punches. Hoping to be at Nebraska Code. If you see me there, I run Engineer in the Loop, which is kind of a podcast / blog with another Microsoft MVP and trainer, Brian Gorman. I blog a lot at eitl.ai. That's also where our podcasts and some other stuff goes as well. I work for a company called Lean Techniques. We do kind of the same as improving, a little bit of everything. We're based out of Des Moines. That's our only office right now, but most of our engineers are fully remote. We have hired like 30 people this year so far, I think. And so if you are looking for anything too, feel free to check out our website. If something at Improving doesn't trip your trigger, we also have some positions open there as well. And fully remote, once a year, they'll fly everybody into Des Moines, which is kind of fun. So you get to see all your coworkers and whatnot. And then since we live in Omaha, if you ever want to go hang out up in Des Moines, they'll usually put you up there and you can kind of go see the client, do all that sort of stuff if you want to. Not a requirement at all. So we'll talk about Video Indexer. One of the reasons I wanted to use this service is actually a little bit probably not the normal way people get introduced in services. So I was working with some people at a big tech company that may or may not run Azure. And they were basically telling me we wanted to do video translations. And everything we kept trying to do with that, if you're familiar with Azure AI, Azure Speech Studio has a lot of that capability. So we were asking about more and more features with that. And their response kept being, use the video indexer, use video indexer, use video indexer. I was like, I don't understand what video indexer is, but I know enough to know that that's not where I go to go translate videos. There's a lot of features for that tool set, unless there's like marketing I completely missed. I don't think that's what the tool's for. So as a part of that, I was like, well, what if I wanted to, we had a potential client, for example, ask, hey, I have a bunch of training content. People don't like to wait to watch a whole 10-minute video to get to the part that talks about the one piece that they care about. They want to be able to just find the title section in YouTube, click it, jump straight to the section they care about. So I was like, that's like by definition the use case of Video Indexer. So I figured I'd go ahead and give it a try. So what is Azure AI Video Indexer? It is a service hosted in Azure that will help index your data or your videos. What does that mean? It creates transcripts for you. It'll create your caption files. So if you don't have captioning service or a captioning service that you can easily use, you can get that there as well. And then it also helps you grab extra insights. We'll dig a little deeper in that, but it does some sentiment analysis. It'll tell you like somebody might have been angry in this time frame or happy. So it does a little bit deeper sentiment analysis than just, hey, here's the words spoken at this time. And then we can also export all that data to then use it in a different application. So some key features I talked about, there's some automatic transcriptions. There's a little bit of translation when it comes to just straight up looking at the transcripts. Face and emotion detection, that was kind of the sentiment. It can tell by how you talk. It also can register based on your face. Object scene and activity detection. Customizable models and language support. So if you have a particular language, you can actually tell it what language it is coming in, which then helps it analyze your videos better. And then we can search, index, and get insights from a dashboard. So as a part of this, we are using the video indexer. I'm going to be using blob storage to put the output of video indexer. We'll use the API and the UI built in for that and keep moving. We'll walk through creating it in the portal, what that looks like, uploading the video, retrieving the metadata. You can use an API or SDK. I use the portal for this particular example. We can talk about searching and filtering insights, and then I'm going to show you how to integrate it with cognitive search. There's a lot of different things you could do here. If you want automatic video tagging, so for example, like a lot of big companies, when they have a lot of videos, they'll tag it based on, AI is a hot one, potentially any sort of current events. So like the floods in Texas, for example, that just happened. There might be a lot of stuff SEO-wise that they're tagging for that. Just any sort of video and media company likes to tag their content. Education and learning, like I said, maybe you're wanting to learn about a complicated topic in lecture. You don't want to sit through your professor's hour-long lecture if you're reviewing just a single part, because like maybe you took a practice exam and I don't know, maybe inheritance in your programming lecture is something you're struggling with, and you may not know the section or the lecture, but the professor talked about it. You could search up just inheritance, get the exact timestamp, go straight to that video. That way you don't have to sit through all of the content that you've had all that time. Enterprise search, everybody's building search on top of stuff. You can do that with this as well, and it makes your video content more searchable. And then compliance and security, you could do potentially incident reviews. Since you can search people or search things based on how people are acting, talking, behaving, you could try to get some incident review. For example, if you have somebody working like a checkout counter, did my employee escalate an issue, or did somebody walk in angry already? What could have been interpreted from that? You kind of have like a biased third-party resource there that you can mess with. All right, and we're going to go ahead and just jump right into the portal. If you haven't been in the Azure portal before, this is kind of what it looks like. Oh, got a connection error. It's portal.azure.com. Go to video example. So it is its own resource in Azure. If you're only going to index it and get the metadata out of it, it's right here. We're going to go to the portal. So a lot of these AI services in Azure have their own kind of standalone services, or studios is the new term they're kind of rolling with. So you can go ahead and start messing with them, and it's kind of a custom built UI to really help explore the feature set. So for the sake of this, I can either enter a URL where my file is located, or I could upload a file. Say if I have like an enterprise file system, I could upload an individual one there as well. This does take about 15-20 minutes-ish to index your file. I'm sure it's dependent on size. So I do have one here that's already been pre-indexed, kind of like, the baking show will show you how to make it, throw it in the oven, and oh, wow, one's already done. So this is what happens when a video is done. We'll go ahead and zoom in a bit. Not sure if that made it better or worse. But this is just one of my podcast episodes I threw in here to see what would happen. If you noticed, it detected 3 objects that it's calling a chair. It found some cups, and it thinks it found a wine glass in this frame. We can also see the different kinds of topics. So it thinks that under technology, it has computers, education, companies, software, and I can filter to the particular timestamp in that video that covered that topic. So we can see here, oh, we were talking about computers here, education, technology, most of this, I think, software, and then different companies. There's also audio effects in this. I obviously didn't edit in a bunch of audio effects because it's just people talking, but it said there was silence in different parts of this. Different keywords. So if you're thinking about when you do SEO, or if you're a hashtag person, all that, right? You want to get the keyword that resonates with the most people. It'll tell you what kind of keywords I talked about and what sections of it would have talked or highlighted that. Labels, person, human face, clothing. These are just some basic labels. Named entities, brands, emotions is also kind of fun. So this was something that was really weird. I wasn't expecting 4% of the podcast to be tagged as angry. So that was something fun to go back and kind of look around at of like, okay, what does it deem as angry? And what you can't see up here is all of this is interactive. So when I click that angry spot, for instance, it'll take me to the exact part of the podcast or the video that says, here's the part that was angry. There's different scenes and then different shots in the scene. So we can go to like, oh, here, all the shots in this scene. We can also do the timeline feature here. So we can see, okay, maybe I want to search the text of what happened at a particular time. Again, it'll take us right to there. I can download the insights, the artifacts, the source video, the closed captions, all that. You can also download up here. There's a few different ways to do this. So what I did that I thought was kind of fun, let's go here. Let's go to this organization. And this is all in my GitHub. It is under Azure Cloud Workshops. So all this is open source, MIT. You can do whatever you want with it. This repository, we're going to go, and I'm going to run this locally. It's an npm. Is it not? I might need to plug my laptop in. We are burning through power. Oh, that's right. It's just raw HTML. So you can also then embed it. This isn't working at the moment, but we could embed that same clickable experience that we went through right here into the web app. One thing that's fun though is we can then use that data to make basically our content searchable. So given the timestamps, the sentiment, all that, we can actually build it with AI to make it searchable. And then in my particular use case, my videos are hosted on YouTube. So knowing the timestamp, I can then also take people directly to that timestamp in YouTube. So we'll go ahead and talk about how we did that. So the first thing you need to do is create a video, some sort of storage account or way for the raw data to be basically indexed. So if we look here, I just have it, I named it file.json. That file is just the insights file that is given by, let's see what that is going to open with. Don't want to launch Xcode. So this is what the file looks like. You have the duration of the video, you have what language it is, and then you have a bunch of different timestamps, essentially different chunks of the video that have been cut up by Video Indexer. So if I go here, that's all that this file is. Then I can go to AI search. What I want to do is come in here, add a data source. That's going to be our blob storage container. And then with those two things, I can actually just say import and vectorize data. That's going to be an Azure Blob Storage. I want you to build me a RAG solution. I'm going to go here. We just put it in text. I'm going to hit next. And then it's actually smart enough behind the scenes to know what is the best way to chunk that data and get it to a point that it can be consumed. Sorry, my computer's dying a lot quicker than I thought it would.
Try to use dash arrow when we're ready to engage. There's a whole creep wave in our face there.
There we go. So then we can also give it the Azure OpenAI service, so on and so forth. And what that does behind the scenes is it will build you your vectorized database. So in order to build AI, you need a vector data store, which is just essentially a way for AI to be able to read the data you have. And then you need a place to store it. So that's where AI search comes into play. We're going to skip that just because I have it already indexed. Once it's run successfully, you'll see that there was an index created. We have 176 unique events or chunks in that data piece. And we'll go ahead and search it. I'm going to go pull up the file. So if we go to search service, what that is doing is it's just raw HTML. I'm going to specify all of my data here.
It blocked me.
I do. Go ahead and grab all those pieces. Open AI key. It's my search stuff. And I'll delete all these resources after the talk. And this is Azure AI Foundry. We'll see what models I have deployed. So you have GPT-4.1 mini. So if I click on view code, that should give me the data I need. For the endpoint, I just want this. The API key, which I can get here. And then the deployment name is also your model name. And if I search like MCT, is it not going to work? What's going on here? Oh, we have a course policy issue. Weird. Interesting. Why do we have a course policy? Oh, that's why. Do you need to run? Sorry, I forgot to start the back end. All right, now what if I do this? I'm still getting issues. I think so.
Get out. Can't find it on Herald.
Yeah, the team. We're still connected on Teams. Just trying to run slash. I don't think so. I think my URLs might be a little bit. Does this need to be like this? Weird. I guess that's kind of the fun part of demos. So what that should look like, if it actually works, I can blow this up. I'll have to check out what the issue is. But this is what it should look like. So I'll make a search here, benefits of being an MCT. So I have an AI answer that can be answered, and then I have different references. If I click one of those particular references, it then takes the timestamp, converts that to a YouTube time. So like the T equals query param, and it'll go and take you directly to that YouTube video. So correct. Yeah, so it's anywhere that can support a timestamp essentially, right? Because then it's the front half of the video is hard coded. So I just say basically here's the base of where that YouTube video is, and then the timestamp is the second part. There's other ways to do multi-file as well. So you could like make the file name the URL that it's hosted at. So when you click on it, that's another way you could pass the information. Or yeah, there's like a few different ways you could do that. But yes, yep, I think so. Yeah, and you're searching the AI search index. That's where all your queries are going. So you'll pay a little bit of tokens for the actual AI part. And then I'm on the free tier of AI search, so I'm not paying for AI search in this case either. So yeah, yep, yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, correct. Mhm. So the indexer creates the transcript and together. There's a transcription format. I forget the like DPC is one of them. There's like proprietary like or like a teleprompter type format. If you've ever seen and it's supported by like all these platforms, so like video, all those different platforms. But that I can show you what that looks like. It creates essentially. Throw this away. I just do the artifact. I think it's in here. There it goes. Yeah. Is it not going to show me just in here? So it looks kind of like this, where it'll say like the start time of when the phrase was started and when it ended, and then what the phrase was itself. In video transcript, or in the video indexer, it also gives you a confidence rating. So some languages are better than others when it gets a confidence rating. So it's like 93% positive that this is what I said. So the confidence goes to the text that it generated, and then the start and stop's a lot easier, right? Because then it's just where they started talking, where it stopped listening. Yep. Yeah. So the part of that that it covers, that's not charging. Charging. There we go. Not going to touch it. So the question was, what part did the GPT play into this? If you look right here, we'll wait for the GIF to kick over one more time. So if you notice the OpenAI, let me blow it up. Gotta save it first, I guess. Sorry, just a sec. Let me get to my desktop. So the part that GPT played into this is Azure AI Search can be connected to Azure OpenAI. So they have an API there, and you can give it the parameters of AI Search. So AI Search, what it'll do is it doesn't really answer your questions. It either does a hybrid search or a straight text keyword search. So it either knows, hey, I know the exact word that you asked me, or it has some fuzzy matching around sentiment that works okay. What GPT 4.1 does on top of that is it'll take the question, it'll get back the answers from AI search, and then it actually answers this section right here. So I asked it the benefits of being an MCT. It can look at the data that it gets back from AI search and kind of make some deductions. So it doesn't have to be the exact text that came back from it. It's also able to then rank it. That's what the references section are. It can rank the responses it gets back from AI search to say, hey, from the relevance of, and you can force it to have as many relevant or references as you want, but typically it's 5. Okay, here's the 5 I received from you. Here's in, increasing or decreasing order what I think is the most relevant piece that you just asked me to the worst. Whereas if you just asked AI search, it would just give you that piece of it, just the single, hey, here's the raw text of the chunk that I found. GPT can also then make chunks smaller too. So if it's a bigger piece of it, it can then say, okay, it might be, your chunk might be huge, but I know you only care about this small little subset. So it can also help throw away the noise that you don't care about. So it does some of the natural language processing to try to figure out what did you actually mean when you asked something. And then it calls AI search as a part of the same API call to then pull the data back. As of right now, I believe you can use any of the GPT models. So, and those are all hosted in Azure. So you have your 4.0 mini, 4.1 mini. You can use some of the inferencing models like 4.1, the full O3, all those. But I don't know if you can do like self-hosted or Llama or some of the Hugging Face. I haven't tried too much with that. Good questions. Any other questions? The other thing that's kind of fun with this is if you have the transcripts, YouTube actually has a new feature that I'm playing with on my podcast. I don't know if it's any good or not, but you can tell it to, YouTube basically has its own version of translations. So for shorts and longer form videos, they're doing a thing where they're trying to translate into different languages. So I've been playing with that, and it's fun to see the, one of my buddies did it and showed me all these metrics of like all these languages that he doesn't speak, but his videos are getting like views and hits in. So I'm just kind of curious. It's super cool to see how that works. I think Mr. Beast is one too, where he hired somebody to basically do voiceovers of all of his videos just in Spanish, and he ended up being like the #1 Spanish YouTuber like overnight. So I think it's something we're going to continue to see. For one, if your company's geolocated, how do we make content once but make it accessible to everybody? That's a use case we're working with a client right now with, of just video translation of. I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. Yeah. You said Lex Friedman's podcast? Yeah. Yeah, if you could, that'd be awesome. I think we're seeing more and more of this too. Like even Google touts with their new earbuds, right? That you can walk around and like basically speak whatever and it'll go to English for you. But the podcast, Engineer in the Loop, it is pull it up on YouTube. I'm on all the major stuff. YouTube. I did. It used to be called Azure Cloud Talk, but we had a lot of people talking about just like general engineering stuff. And we had a few guests that like didn't really want to be on it because we were branded with Azure and they did like non-Azure stuff. Um, but yeah, we're on Apple Podcast, Google. Yeah. Well, and I even small plug for Lean Techniques. We had a client that wanted us. So they are a big finance company, and they were trying to be sold by a bunch of these people who sell like their telemarketer software or like their call center software. They wanted to pay some like obscene amount of money, like double digit millions and millions of dollars to get like real time sentiment analysis. And we're like, you guys use AWS. Like AWS just launched the Nova Sonic model, which is, oops, I didn't mean to do that, which is their real time, uh, basically the real time AI model. So you can go through and talk to it and just say like, hey, you can't hear it, but this is me talking to the model saying, if you look, it says, I love using this app so much. And then it replied, and then I basically told it to give me the sentiment. It says positive, negative, all that. Azure has a similar thing. Their UI is not as pretty as AWS's. I will give them that. But if you look here, it's telling me I'm talking, you can't hear it, but that I made a positive statement, I made a negative statement. It allows to do fun stuff like that, right? Like I don't have to be just Azure, because I think AI is getting to the point where if you have a use case, you shouldn't let your cloud, like your cloud won't dictate, can you do it or not? A lot of them are fighting to be feature parity all the time. So if Amazon says, hey, there's this really cool and awesome thing we do now, there's a pretty good chance Google or Microsoft already does it or are working on it. So that's the other thing too, is like, I think AI is kind of crossing the boundaries. You're even seeing this with like, I think Gemini and OpenAI are trying it out right now too, of if you just ask us a question, we're going to use the model we think is the best. So trying to take that cognitive load off of you as the user, because I'm a dumb user. I'm always going to pick the coolest, latest, fanciest model, even if it means slower performance or it's going to cost OpenAI more money. At the end of the day, the end user doesn't really care, right? Like if I just type the thing, I want it back fast and I want it accurate. Even if that means I'm using a model that's 4 years old, if it gets me the answer I need, I don't care. So I think we're going to continue to see some of that. Microsoft also in AI Foundry allows you to bring API keys too. So you can actually, you can't host it in Azure, but it can be a pass through to like Gemini or Claude. If you have a subscription with them, you can put your keys in it and then use it essentially becomes like API management at that point. But you can go through and do whatever you want there. Right. Yeah, and it's kind of like, I mean, you're seeing that even a little bit in the IDE space, right? Amazon just launched their own AI IDE. Google just bought Windsurf, I believe. Cursor is out there. There's just weird. I think what we're seeing is wherever you are in the market of dev, there's going to eventually be an AI coding assistant for you. There's going to be an AI thing in whatever cloud you're in. Microsoft has even launched Foundry Local, which allows you to run your LLMs locally. So you could even start doing that on, on bare metal again. So if your company hasn't jumped to the cloud yet or has extra GPUs or VMs sitting around, you can go ahead and spin that up locally for a lot of the stuff. And they're trying to get closer to feature parity for that. Because that's typically security and cost are the two things people are afraid of. Well, if it's on your infrastructure, hopefully you've secured it well enough. And then the cost at that point is a sunk cost, right? You already bought the server rack. Your only variable cost, I guess, is electricity, but nobody really cares that much about how much electricity a server rack's pulling. It's already kind of built in. So it's interesting hearing people start to talk about, I feel like we had this big, everybody needs to go to the cloud. Some people have started like, maybe not, but then we're starting to hear the bare metal conversation again because people just want AI on their own systems and not, in the cloud, and then they get consistent costs. But yeah. Any other questions? Yeah, that's all I got. If you want to check this out too, I have all the samples out on Azure Cloud Workshops. It's the ACW AI video search. So you can go and plug in all your values. After this, I'll go figure out why it didn't work. But yeah, it's just a really simple app to show if you get a bunch of files or videos, we can go ahead and index them and search them and basically make your video content, which wasn't searchable before, searchable. Yeah, thank you.